We're live from Infotec 2013. I almost forgot what the year was. Live from Infotec 2013. I only said that 10 times this week. Here at the CenturyLink Center, Omaha, Nebraska, right here next to the AIM booth. And, of course, AIM has sponsored this event here at Infotec. They've done a great job. They're giving away tons of T-shirts and these really cool mugs that they ran out of, and I've got one, so I'm pretty excited about that. Hopefully you get a chance to come down. If you haven't, we're only here for about another hour, so this will be over here soon, or hopefully you got a chance to attend this if you're watching the recorded version. We are live on live stream as well. If you've joined us live, there's a chat window over to the right that you can join us in. Just create an alias and jump right in if you have a question for the guest. You can ask that, and we'll ask it live and in real time. So thanks for joining us in that. I'm your host, Jim Collison, and today, this afternoon, you're the last one, not the last, third to the last. So we're wrapping them up here. Phil Poje.
Yes, sir.
Phil, how are you?
I'm well, thanks.
Good. How have you enjoyed Infotec?
It's been fun. It's been good. A lot of great conversation, a lot of neat things happening in the world of technology, and you had some good keynote speakers. And obviously, we live in the world of mobility, and a lot was talked about in both keynote addresses of how mobility is changing our culture and changing the world we live in.
Yeah, for sure. Have you been here for the whole conference?
We have.
Okay,
yes.
Good. And have you done an Infotec conference before?
We've not. This is our first time to Infotec, and it's been a good experience. We've had fun meeting a lot of people and seeing what Infotec is all about.
Good. It's been, I've done a couple of these, maybe 3 out of the last 5 or 4 out of the last 6, something like that. And this one has been really good. They've done a really nice job. They introduced about 400 or 500 high school students into the mix today.
I've seen them come by today.
Yeah, you know what? Added some energy to it, to be honest
they did.
with you. It's been kind of nice. So.
It's fun to talk to the kids, kind of see where their passions are.
Yeah.
I mentioned to the guy in the booth next to me, be careful, we might be working for one of these kids here in the next couple of years, right?
I know.
So it's neat, and it's neat to expose these young adults to what's happening in this world from a technology. Of course, they're living in the middle of it, but yet they see some of the capabilities, and it was just interesting to have them come by and talk about their own future and their passion and encourage kids in that way.
Good. Likewise, I share your sentiment. Yeah. Phil, tell us a little bit about you, what you do, where you're at, who you work for, those kinds of questions.
Sure.
Yeah, you bet.
I'm a serial entrepreneur. This is the actual 4th company I've actually started. Love technology, love what technology does, but I started Tech Orchard 2 years ago with a passion around mobility. I wanted to start something in the technology area, and I said, what is the one area in technology as a whole that was really expanding and changing culture and impacting culture and impacting the way we live? And as I sat there, I looked down, and there was my iPad and my smartphone, right? And I said, that's it. It's mobility, and it's those devices. So we started Tech Orchard with the idea of helping organizations just to think more creatively and more seriously about mobility, because it's impacting not only our culture and each of us as individuals, but businesses have to get their hands and arms around it. And part of their own culture and their branding as an organization, they need to think about mobility. First, from the security standpoint, right? How do we secure our data? Because that's the keys of the kingdom. And then how do we empower our employees and give them the data they need, the resources they need to do what we're asking them to do? And every organization I come across, Jim, is saying we need to do more with less. So that being the case, I think mobility is one of those tools that we can use to leverage, the creativity and the power of the individual. However, there's some real challenges that come with adding these mobile devices that travel with us everywhere.
Yeah, do you see it a lot like the early days of the PC, where we just really struggled to secure them, and
absolutely
Wild Wild West? Absolutely,
Wild Wild West. We're seeing, the great thing is data breaches are going down as a whole. However, data breaches on mobile devices are going up, and until the business world gets their hand around the security aspect, that's going to happen. But it is the Wild Wild West to a degree, but organizations are quickly adopting mobile device management platforms. They're getting their hands around it. They're understanding the impact that mobility can have on their organization. Some industries, frankly, are further ahead than other industries. Some companies further ahead than others. We find ourselves right in the middle of it. It's a fun space to be. Sometimes we're cleaning up after people, and sometimes we're educating people in this whole area.
So give me a little bit. First of all, are you guys here in the Omaha area? Or?
We're not. We're from Kansas City. My VP of Sales, actually born and raised here in Omaha.
Okay.
And with other businesses that I've had, I've traveled to Omaha quite a bit. Really, the central states, I call it, Kansas, Missouri, Iowa, Nebraska is kind of backyard for me.
Sure.
I'm a native Kansas Citian, but spent a lot of time in this area and over in Des Moines area and down to St. Louis. So,
kind of dominating the Missouri Valley.
Yeah, that's exactly
saying,
right.
right.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, it's a good valley to be in.
It's home for me.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, no, and I've lived here 20 some years.
Right. Some people fly over it, but it's home for me.
No, I always fly into it, and I tell people all the time, when we're recruiting folks from the East Coast or the West Coast, and we're bringing them here to Omaha, I say, one of the best things I like about Omaha, smack dab in the middle. Kansas City would be the same thing.
Yep.
Smack dab in the middle of the country. Dallas is a couple hours, San Francisco is a couple hours, DC is a couple hours. And you can be anywhere pretty quickly.
You know what I'm finding too, Jim, is a lot of people, because of the lifestyle, the culture, for a lot of variety of reasons, are moving here to the Midwest. I met a CIO of a large organization out of Atlanta that moved to Kansas City, and her kids, her grown children, are following her because they love the Midwest. And so it's kind of strange because that normally people were leaving here going for the coast. And I think they're turning around, some of them.
Yeah, well, I'm a California kid. I was born in San Jose, California. I went through high school there and graduated and went back in the 90s I was in the military, went back in the 90s. And frankly, could not start life there. And we had to move to the Midwest when I got out of the military. We moved here to Omaha because it was an affordable place to live. And I always joke and say, the wagon wheel broke. Right? I mean, we just never left. We just stayed, and we've been here 20. We just celebrated 20 here.
Congratulations.
And raised my kids here, and it's just been a fabulous. And I think IT-wise, this area, let's just include the Heartland.
Absolutely.
Is a great. I think it's a growing hotspot.
It really is. We're seeing it. Where we're seeing it in Omaha, we're certainly seeing it in Kansas City, and it's fun.
And we do some coordination for folks that are listening, maybe not from the Missouri Valley.
Right.
Omaha and Kansas City, we actually do some for the Heartland Oracle user group. We built a pretty large user group here in the Omaha area. We kind of partner with our Kansas City friends. 3 hours, 2.5, 3 hours to the south. It's a great. It's easy to get to. I can leave if I leave early enough in the morning. I can be in Kansas City, and then Maryville and St. Joe, right between the two.
Absolutely.
And Northwest Missouri State, which we get a lot of students from. And
that's great.
St. Joe area, which is it's a nice corridor. So
it really is.
So it's great living in the Midwest. Talk a little bit about your presentation here. What kind of cover? You don't try and do the whole thing.
No.
We don't have enough time, but kind of what the high points of what you covered then.
High point really, and this one was just all about talking about how iPads, which were designed a little over 3 years ago. Right? We just celebrated 3 years anniversary on the iPad. Designed as a personal device for people, how it's being pulled into the enterprise, how it's being pulled into organizations and companies literally all over the world. And we gave 4 examples of iPads being used, one in a school, one in a construction company, another one in a healthcare company, and the final one was a sales organization. They were all companies that work with us, so we were very intimately familiar with the deployment. And we talked about some of the challenges you have with deploying iPads in these different environments. We talked about the challenges, the solution that we came up with, how we deployed it, and then what have been the benefits from deployment. And so it's been fun looking at different industries with different challenges and regulations, but yet a common theme of wanting to leverage mobility for the sake of making the experience better.
Sure. Yeah. And of those 4, which one of those do you think was the most interesting? I mean, when you went to it and you thought, because for you like to solve problems.
Sure,
right?
absolutely.
And so which one of those was the most interesting problem to solve?
Well, probably, as I think back, boy, that's a good question. I will tell you this, the one that probably kind of got me excited the most was the school. It's a high school, happens to be an inner city high school in Kansas City called Cristo Rey. So you got inner city kids who don't have all the luxuries of maybe other children, and giving them a tool that gives them access to technology, gives them access to the world, teaches them things that will help them maybe get out of that poverty level. That's what excites me, is when you can take technology and change somebody's life.
Yeah.
The other ones that are fun was when you get to move the productivity meter. We did a deployment of 125 iPads for Husqvarna for their sales team, and to watch their sales go up based upon a mobile device that has a private app that highlights their products, right? So whenever you can move the needle and change something for the better because of a device, I love doing that. But when it changes people's lives and changes potentially their future and their trajectory, especially if it's one of the challenges, great. I have a real heart to try to do something with iPads inside of nursing homes. I'm hoping we can figure some stuff out there.
Cool.
Unfortunately, nursing homes are not the most technology advanced organizations, but I've got a heart to maybe change.
Well, the customers are not necessarily the most.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
There's a challenge there. There's some opportunities. But if you can change the experience of somebody who's in a nursing home, if you can change that experience by bringing them a device where they have a lens into the world, access to music, movies, family, friends, to communicate, I think now you're changing culture and you're changing things for the better.
Yeah, no, that's great. It's a great story. We actually, as a user group, the Heartland Oracle user group I mentioned earlier, we actually donated some iPads to a school here.
Oh, neat.
Typically, we do an event. We do our events at Gallup. Gallup doesn't charge us to do that. Most places would charge us to do that, so we give back to a charitable organization from the user group. So it's a great opportunity to do that. That's from the user group we do great, and so it's a good opportunity to change the community. I like that. Let me ask you though. You mentioned iPads. Is it the brand or the device? Could you do have the same impact with an Android?
No, I'm glad you brought that up. Right now, iPads got their mojo going, right? And frankly, as we deploy tablets, we don't deploy just iPads. They just happen to be the platform of choice today. We deploy other platforms. We like all tablets, and we train, teach, manage all tablets. So we do it. We have one client that's on an Android tablet.
Okay.
Right? So
you're looking to those platforms as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Have you any look at the Surface tablet?
Yes.
And
we've got a Surface tablet in-house, and we're doing some testing with it and trying some different things out. They've got a little ways to go on it. I think the next iteration will be better, and so we're looking forward to the new technology that comes out. The one thing that I think we would all agree, none of us would bet $1,000 on what's going to be the most popular tablet 5 years from now. We wouldn't make that bet. No way.
Well, it was like you were reading my mind, because I was just going to ask you, right? So you said when you started Tech Orchard that you one day you looked at your iPad and you looked at your phone and you kind of said, hey, this is where we're going. I won't ask you to predict, right? Because nobody likes to do that. But are there any things out there right now? Do you see anything that's early that you think is interesting that may have that same revolutionary effect when we talk about IT? You seen anything out there right now?
Boy, I'm not necessarily. I think what it's going to come down to, I think, we buy equipment these days for the processing power, right? That it possesses, the storage capability. I think very shortly that's going to be a non-item. I think, obviously, with platforms like Box and others, where you can store a lot of data. So I think the form factors will change over time. I'm still looking for the Dick Tracy wristwatch, right?
They're coming.
I think they're coming too.
They're trying.
Google Glass is very interesting on several levels.
It is very interesting. So some people are predicting that to be a new platform.
I think it could be, but like anything else, there's some challenges there, right? Ethically, morally. Right. But all that being said, we know we're in an exciting time of mobility. We want to try to leverage it for good and to benefit people and enterprises.
Yeah,
that's a fun time.
One of the things I'll just interject. I think as I look ahead, one of the things I see us is how we handle all the data we're creating. The pipe that Facebook alone generates when we talk about the stream that we see and all that data that's available and everything we pipe into Facebook and Twitter and whatever, LinkedIn, whatever's next, whatever's out there. And then how we pull that data. I just got Jelly Bean on my Android phone.
Okay, cool.
And I got Google Now.
Yeah.
And that is an attempt, right, to begin to make some sense of all that data that I create inside of Google and present it in a BI, business intelligence, whatever, right, in a reporting kind of way to help it make sense. And so I've got in the mornings now when I'm heading into work, it shows, it pops up a little map and says, I think you're about to go to work, and here's the route you should take, and here's the traffic.
Unbelievable.
That is
right? Amazing.
Isn't that that's an intelligence thing, right? Helps me make better decisions. Do I go, if there's a traffic jam, do I take a different route to work before I go? So predictive analytics, right?
It's wonderful, and can be used for good and for evil, right?
Yeah, exactly. We're just scratching the surface.
Yes, we are. 2
final questions, real quick, as we run out of time here. The first one is, because we have so many high school students here, if you could give them advice on as they're going through college, if you could give them one piece of advice right now about if they're going to go into a technology education, so to speak, what would you tell them right now, knowing what you know?
Boy, that's a good question. Be willing to change and follow your passion. Figure out what you're really passionate about and follow that. So many times I see people, very bright people, that end up in a job or a career whereby they're not really passionate about it. And I think when you take passionate people, let them create, be imaginative, and give them some direction and some education, they can change. They can change things.
Yeah.
So I would encourage them, just follow your passion and what you're called to do, rather than what somebody else tells you ought to be doing. Right.
Yeah, and try and fail. Right.
That's right.
And get out there and try.
Well, I tell people fail fast.
Yeah.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with failing. The only thing that's wrong is not trying again. Yeah. And obviously, in starting 4 companies, I've failed a lot.
Sure.
I've failed.
That would have been a great question. Maybe another time. I've been asking some of the folks, what's your biggest failure? Because a lot of people learn a lot of things through failure. And so maybe we'll save that for another time. The other question is then, I assume, what's your phone? What do you carry for a phone?
I carry the iPhone 5 right now, is the phone I carry now. But in our office, we have a whole plethora of devices, and we use a lot of different devices, obviously, in our office, because we just don't want to be an Apple shop or Windows shop or an Android shop. We welcome all technology because they all have advantages.
Right. Yeah. Right. Well, overwhelmingly, you're at the end of the conference. Overwhelmingly, iPhone is almost everybody. We had 2 BlackBerries.
Still
no Android. Well, I shouldn't say that. One of the guests carried both an iPhone and an Android. In fact, Ben Vu, who was he carries both because he's a game. He does right. He does Battle Bears, and he needs to be able to test them on. And so he carries a Galaxy S2, a Note 2.
Okay,
and then he carries an iPhone. iPhone 5. So he carries both around. But overwhelmingly in the conference, it's been iPhone. Phil, thanks for taking a few minutes. I appreciate. And how would folks, if they want to get in touch with you or find out more about your organization, how would they do that?
Just go to our website, techorchard.com. Yeah, Tech Orchard, T-E-C-H, orchard as in an apple orchard.
How'd you come up with that name?
When we started the company, we knew we wanted to be, we were in the tech space, right? And we thought in an orchard, there's a lot of different fruits, right? There's a lot of different vegetables and things like that are out there, and we wanted to say that we're in a world where there's a lot of different fruit. It all has different tastes, but it all tastes good. Manage the orchard well, right? Be a protector, good steward of what we've been given.
Very good.
I'm a big believer in that. So
good. That's good. And so techorchard.com.
Techorchard.com.
You guys on the Tweety, as they say, do any Twitter?
Yeah, we do Twitter. You can follow myself or any of the teams on our team that we tweet. And
the company have its own Twitter? Does it have its own Twitter account?
Gosh, I should know.
Tech Orchard?
Yeah, I think probably at Tech Orchard.
Look that up.
Look that up. Yeah.
Much of a Facebook presence? Are you out
there? No,
not
much. We went out there, but you'll find me and some of my other teammates on LinkedIn. So if anybody has any questions, they're certainly welcome to call us and talk to us about maybe some of the challenges they're having in the area of mobility.
Very good, very good. Well, we want to take a second. I want to just I need to thank some folks at Gallup, of course, for giving me the time to come out here today. Normally, I'm very, busy doing other things, but of course, we see this too as a great partnership with the community. So thanks to Gallup and the Heartland Oracle User Group. Actually, we bought this equipment through that user group. We're going to use it. We're trying to do our user groups a little bit different, where we sit down and have conversations like this, record those, and then put those out for the user group to hear. Not everybody can be at every meeting every time, and so we bought some equipment so we could get some stuff recorded. It's really easy. That's one of those that both audio and video in an RSS feed is just a very powerful thing. So when people can subscribe to it, so we thank, and of course, Infotec for providing the space for us. Phil, thanks for coming out.
Great. Hey, thank you very much, Jim. It was a pleasure.
Likewise. Live stream, hang tight for a second. We'll shut things down, and I'll be back with you in about 5 or 6 minutes. Thanks.